Good morning, guys. So I'm not at Ocean Academy this morning. I'm at a workshop for climate change being done by Fisheries Department and Coastal Zone Management. Today we're going to be looking at population and the factors that affect population distribution. Lillian should be in the classroom with you all, and this is a recording, so I'll ask you guys to just go ahead and plug in your headphones just so that you don't, you know, distract somebody else that might be listening to the same recording. So, when we spoke about factors affecting population distribution, I know some of you were a little bit confused as to what population distribution means. It honestly just means how is it that people are the areas in which people disperse or they move around to live in. So some areas will have no people to where and nobody living on the areas, and other areas where people want to live in. And so that we're looking at the factors that are affecting why people choose to live in certain areas or not. The essential question that I want you guys to think about during this class is how can certain factors affect where a person might want to live or not want to live? For example, maybe some people grew up on this island but they decided that they don't want to live here, so they left and they moved to the United States because they thought they can get a better life there. But how about the people that want to live here? What are those factors that can affect that person living here or not? So what I want you guys to do right now, for 2 minutes, and Lillian can time this, I want you to turn to the person next to you and have a conversation or discussion about this prompt using Oracy. So you can use it to start a conversation. People choose to live in Bahia because, and when you're finished answering that, then go ahead. While not a lot of people choose to live on the north of Kikaker because once you have had that conversation with your partner, then we'll move ahead. You can pause the video now because then I will continue my discussion with you all. Okay, so now let's continue. The factors affecting population distribution and density. What are some factors that can affect where people want to live? Well, there's different reasons. The first one is the physical factors. Physical factors that affect population distribution include altitude, as in how high or where the height of the play area that they're living, and latitude, as if a place is hilly or rugged or flat. Relief, climate, soils, vegetation, water, and location of mineral and energy resources. All of these are physical factors that we can see that can affect where people want to live. It is important to note that most of the physical factors influence population distribution only indirectly through climate conditions. So most of the things that affect us has to do with climate. For example, one of the things that affect how people are, or the reason why one of the reasons why people might not want to live on the island is because of hurricanes. Right? We have a season, hurricane season, and so some tourists who want to come and live on the island might think twice about coming because we are affected by hurricanes. We are not affected by snow, but in areas in Canada, for example, in Toronto, um, people are affected by snow. And so people get a lot of snow in the area. So sometimes they tend to move away um, from living in certain areas where they know they're going to have um, high chances of snow and very cold weather. Sunny days also. Some people prefer this heat that we like here in Belize. Other people cannot stand it, and so they might want to live somewhere more cooler. Rainfall. Some places, a lot of rain occurs, and so places can get flooded, mudslides can happen, so people tend to move away from those areas. While in other people love the rainfall because you can use it for agriculture, right? Agricultural purposes where you're farming and rain falls and your plants grow and they grow healthy and you are able to produce more. Good soil, alluvial soil. right? People wanted to be able to plant and to use soil for good agriculture, and so some people tend to live in areas where there's good soil, while others tend to move from areas where they know it's not a good not enough good soil, and so they come and live in places where there's good soil. Fishing resources, for example, in Kikaker, we have good fishing resources. Like someone said in the last class, I think it was Tyrese, we can live off our fishing resources. So if we can't get chicken, we can eat fish, lobster, shrimp, conch, and so forth. And that brings people to that is one of the reasons why people want to live in certain areas. The same thing for rivers and coasts. People tend to live in around coastal areas and rivers. The Mayans, for example, had started to live in coastal areas in Belize, such as around the Bay of Corozal, because they were able to fish and trade in that area, right? We live in the coast and we enjoy living in the coast because of a lot of resources that are around. Other people like rivers around where they are able to use those rivers to bathe and for water supply, to drink, okay? Natural vegetation that has to do with trees around that maybe we can use to eat, or trees for shade, or just the beauty of an area. And some people use certain trees, for example, for wood and to make furniture, and other resources such as streets, clinics, and schools. Some people don't want to live in Kikaker because they know that there's no hospitals, while other people want to live here because they believe that it's a nice place. We do have streets, we have a clinic, we have schools. Let's move on. Some factors for you guys to note. In Egypt, nearly 98% of the population is concentrated forming a ribbon along the Nile River. So if you look at the map and you can find where Egypt is, the Nile River, for many civilizations ago, for example, the Egyptian civilization, they relied on that Nile River in order for them to get the fertile soil from that river, from the and at the end of the river. Climate affects population distribution both directly as well as indirectly through its effects on soil, vegetation, and agriculture that have direct bearings on the patterns of population distribution. If you live in an area where it's very hot and dry and the soil isn't good, for example, in certain areas around Africa, then your vegetation and your agriculture might not grow. Hence, people will not want to live there. In the northern hemisphere, extreme cold conditions in the high latitude areas have prevented human habitation. Likewise, extreme high temperatures and aridity in the hot deserts of the world restrict human habitat. The second one, the second factor is economic, political, and historical factors. Population distribution and density in an area depends to a large extent on the type and scale of economic activities. Same geographic conditions provide different opportunities for people with different types and scale of economic activities. Technology and economic advancements can bring about significant changes in population distribution of an area. So, for example, industrialization has helped many countries and that has brought people into different places because you're able to provide people with jobs. Industries like factories that make garment clothes in India, um, factories that need workers to be able to help the production process. I already said job opportunities. Tourism. Here in Belize, we are able to benefit from tourism. Of course, job and money that we make, our cultural values. Some of our cultural values people enjoy and others people don't enjoy. The government, if the government is helping a community and is able to, you know, um, create policies that help